We have a director known for bombastic, crazy, over the top explosions at the beginning of his career. You have two comedians who were also at the peak of their career starring in an action movie. I would have never thought about combining those two things.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boy. You know, you drive almost slow enough to drive Miss Daisy.
Bad Boys is directed by Michael Bay with a screenplay by Michael Byrne, Jim Mulholland, and Doug Richardson, and a story by George Gallo. Film stars Martin Lawerence and Will Smith. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, two hip detectives protect a witness to a murder while investigating a case stolen heroin from the evidence storage room, their police precinct. The buddy cop genre has been here for decades. By the time Bad Boys rolled into theaters, so it's not something new or that it was something to shake up the genre, but everyone had a fun time when it was released in 95. And this franchise is still going on to this day. So when I saw it a couple of years ago when preparing for Bad Boys for Life, I thought it was average at best. So then when I came to rewatching it for the latest film, I still think it's kind of average. It's nothing particularly amazing, nor do I hate it. I think it's fine, but it's nothing too crazy that I was, amazed by. But before giving my issues, here are some of the positives that I have at the film. The performances are fun. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are electrifying and charismatic as both detectives Marcus Burnett and Mike Lowry. They are amazing together and riff off each other so well in the movie that they steal the entire film. They carry this entire movie just by their interactions with one another, and it's always a fun thing to see both comedians knowing how to riff off one another to the point of it just carries the movie so well. Joe Pantoliano is delightful as Captain Conrad Howard, Marcus and Mike's boss. He's hilarious and entertaining throughout the movie that you kind of just love him. He's playing a stereotypical captain, but man, Joe Pantoliano, he's just always a fun treat to have in a movie. And Pantoliano also works well with both Lawrence and Smith, that he also riffs well with them. When there's a scene of him with both Lawrence and Smith, he just fits right in. He fits very well into the movie. The action is enjoyable. Every action sequence feels exciting and explosive. It may not be the most original, but I can't deny it's a damn fun time to see these two comedians just being action stars. But the action is surprisingly fun. It's a really in your face fun time to watch something just explode on your screen. It is. It's a fun time to watch something like that. The cinematography is stellar. Cinematographer Howard Afton captures the intensity and warmth of Miami so well, but the action sequences are done well themselves. What a thrill ride. The way the camera captures like the heat of Miami or the look of it, I think is done very well. It really captures the scenery of what Michael Bay and them were going for with regards to the look appeal. And then when it came to those action sequences, they too were also well shot and well done. And it does feel like a thrill ride in that regard. The music fits. Composer Mark Messina delivers a solid and exciting score to hear as the music complements the film completely. It feels like a summer vibe, which is good because for a movie like this to really capture the feeling of Miami, or at the very least like of an action movie, it has to complement what the movie is. And I think Mark Messina does that. And I am really pleased to see him really do that so well that it does work, and it a tune that you kind of hold on to when you're watching the movie and you're just listening to that score ramp up. Pacing runtime is fluent. Each scene is consistent and keeps going. With a runtime of 1 hour and 59 minutes, it's executed well. Thankfully, this is just a 2-hour movie. As long as it doesn't go past that, we're good. I think that's the perfect right way to have an action movie be almost close to 2 hours, and that's it. I don't think you need to go any further than that. It's perfect. That's well done. Aside from that, I found the film, for me, as an average action film among the others. Like, if I were to say, like, Would I watch this over Lethal Weapon? No, I would rather watch Lethal Weapon more. So here are some of the negatives I had. The story is a mess. It just feels like the film doesn't execute its premise that well. It could have been tighter in some areas. The fact that it's centering on this stolen heroin, and they have that, but then they have another thing that's thrown into the plot that I will mention in a bit, that it just doesn't feel like it's tight enough. It just kind of feels like it's going with the flow of everything being put into this story, that it just doesn't feel like it's really as tight as it can be. The direction is frantic. Director Michael Bay creates too much of a chaotic film that's hard to keep up with. Very much a bombastic style. I like Michael Bay direction in The Rock, and it works really well in there. But in here, it just kind of feels like it's just balls to the walls, like all over the place, and it just has a hard time of keeping it focused as it can be. It just kind of feels like it's just a bunch of explosions going off and a lot of banter going back and forth, that it just doesn't feel as tight as it can be with his direction style. The editing is super quick. Every time a sequence happens, the more the quick cut editing comes out of it. It becomes kind of frustrating. I noticed it near the beginning of the movie where the editing was just so quick cut that it felt like it needed to, like, I wish it had stopped, but it kept on going with that quick cut editing, especially in some of the action sequences, that it did become a little bit nauseating to watch. The switching subplot is unnecessary. This is the part of the film that they introduce. Having both Marcus and Mike switch places with this plot of protecting this witness, played by Tia Leone, with Marcus being Mike and Mike staying with Marcus's family. It felt kind of corny and awkward a lot of the times. But I will say, at the very least, Lawerence and Smith make up for it. Like, they are the ones that are carrying those scenes, and they are funny. It's just that the plot itself with that, I just found it to be very cringy a lot of the times and very uncomfortable. And lastly, the villain is generic. Nothing about the villain is memorable and not sinister at all. Really forgettable. Absolutely nothing. He's just a French villain just wanting to make millions. That's it. There's nothing remotely interesting nor like memorable about him. Like, at the very least, if he's not like the most smart villain, at least you could be an entertaining one. He couldn't even fit that role either. So yeah, it is kind of a disappointment on that end, because you would kind of want a villain like that. Though flawed, there are some glimmers of hope of a truly fun film. I'm not saying this movie isn't terrible. I'm just saying it is kind of average for me. Lawerence and Smith definitely do the heavy lifting in this entire movie. I enjoyed parts, but hoped it could have improved in some areas. And I do wish that if those areas can improve, that we can get a better movie. But I would give Bad Boys a 5 out of 10. I think it's average. I think it's alright, but I do think that it could improve in some areas. But overall, I wasn't hating myself. There were moments where I was enjoying what the film was offering me. So I will be reviewing Bad Boys 2. So yes, look forward to that review and other movie TV show reviews coming soon.